So this is my first council meeting, so I guess you're nervous when you're in this seat. My name is Adcock. I am a owner of the Colorful Chameleon restaurant on Main Street in Clifton, Virginia. The reason why I'm coming here today is to talk about code enforcement and being a new business owner in the historic district. I opened my restaurant last June in 2018. When I opened my restaurant, I was both excited because I'm from Clifton, Virginia. I was born and raised here. I got the opportunity not only to open the restaurant, but get to see the community and amazing people. Since we've opened, we have been blessed with just so many people coming in our doors and supporting us, and I couldn't be more blessed and thankful for them. With that being said, I've also learned that there's also a political part that goes into opening a business as far as your codes and your rules and things. When I opened a restaurant, I'd never done this before. I didn't think about asking for permission for a logo to be 10 inches wide and 13 inches up on the window. I was thinking more of staffing and overhead and how am I going to get people where they don't enjoy my food. So since I've been open, I have been approached at least 5 times from code enforcement through my doors with different code violations. I've also received a few letters, whether it's my open signs flashing, or my smoker was a half a foot out on town property. And we've always complied, whether it's snow removal, whatever it is. Yesterday we were approached again by the code inspector to let us know that we were not allowed to have 2 signs out in front of our business. One was an open sign, and of course, one is an actual sandwich sign that gives a menu of our specials that was actually back in our doorway. It wasn't on the sidewalk at all. I got a little confused about this because when I'm out and about, I do see things that I have been approached about that we can't have at the restaurant, such as the flashing signs or more than multiple billboards out. And I understand that you don't want to block the sidewalk. You want it to be accessible to anyone. And I get that as well. So with that, I questioned it for the first time. I questioned other things, but I'm a new business owner. I don't want to call ripples. I don't want to go on a witch hunt. But this time I just felt, wait a minute, this is getting a little petty. And me and the code inspector talked a little bit. At that point, I had not spoken to Darlene. I did, however, get on social media and I put out a video about how I was feeling about being a new business owner. Because again, when you go in to get a business license, you're thinking about the business license and the federal and state tax deed numbers. You're thinking about all kinds of other things. They hand you your business license, you pay for it, and they give you a form that tells you your taxes. That's it. And then off you go. So after all this happened, today I was fortunate enough to get to meet with Darlene this morning, and we got to sit down and converse about what has been happening. And I think maybe I should have said something before it got to this point, but again, I didn't want to cause ripples. And if someone comes to me and says, this is a code, this is the number, you're in violation of it, you want to comply, instead of asking questions. So when I was able to sit down, and it was a very nice meeting, and she did explain to me a lot of things. She also showed me the code book. That's about this thick. I am not a Harvard graduate. There's just no way. So with that being said, you know, when you do open a business in this community and you are helping with the revenue of this community, I came from a smart man. My father always told me if you weren't part of the solution, you're part of the problem, and vice versa. So after our meeting today, I got to thinking, and we sort of addressed it during the meeting. We have a lot of the older buildings that people are coming in from out of town and they're purchasing. The building that my restaurant is in was actually purchased from people that are out of town. Most of the time, because I was fortunate enough to travel a lot, when we went to a new community or you purchased a house, you got to welcome packet that gave you resources of who to call to turn your electricity on, who was going to pick up your trash, all kinds of things. But like I said, when I went and got my business license, all I got was the business license, and this is how you pay your taxes. What if we, as business owners, that have a little more knowledge, for the ones that don't, such as myself, I've learned a lot this past 9 months, do something like that. When you go in and you ask for a business license, and of course, when you're downtown, that is in the historical district, so that has a whole new set of rules to it. But you have no way of knowing until you know, or you get a visitor in the white car telling you that you're not doing something correctly. So if we could have a list of resources of, okay, and not across the board, but most people that are in a business, they're going to have an open sign. They're going to have logos. They might have or decide to put a sandwich board out. What can they do, or who can they contact to make sure that this is in code and this is what we're supposed to be doing? Because truthfully, all we're here to do is try to make a living. And I'll be treated fairly and the same.
I want to say too, I appreciate your place of business there. We frequently there a number of times. Food's great.
Thank you.
Yes, and when anytime you start a business anywhere, there's always lots of, I don't care where you are, there's lots of things that go on with that, and I think that's a great idea. The things that were key items that were necessary for a person to open a business, I think a person should know about those, especially if you're a novice in business. But that's kind of goes with the territory. There's all kinds of restrictions and kind of guidelines, because then without that you would get everything.
I absolutely agree with that.
And it's a historic district, so that even narrows it down more. But appreciate those concerns.
Do you think, Darlene, that's something we could do on the business license, on the form, is put maybe a flyer on the back of it,
Or even just a list of references.
Yeah, we actually have a document. It doesn't necessarily have everything that Ann's speaking to, but when people come in as a new individual in the community and they register to get their water turned on, there is a small brochure that we provide that has when taxes are due, the statement about having to change your state tags within 30 days of moving into the community, that kind of thing. And it does say who to call for cable, for electricity, and it does mention that the county does the solid waste pickup, and then we do the bulk brush and leaves. But we really don't have anything, and Ann and I talked about this earlier today, that details some of the general rules, and some of it you're not going to know until it happens. But I think the important thing, and we definitely had a major hiccup in code enforcement about this, and I've already talked to the staff and several times today, and I think we're on the right track. But the idea of putting something together, that's specific to new business is not something that we've done, but we can do. I'm not sure we want to put it on the back of that business license application, because we keep that, and then what they get is just the certificate that most people then post on a wall, as opposed to having it on the back of something. But we can certainly work on the idea of creating a one-pager. And I think what's particular to that, and what I said to Ann, and what I say to everybody, including you all as council, if somebody has a question, send them to us. I mean, if we don't have the answer, if they call Jennifer and Jennifer doesn't have the answer, she's going to talk to me. If I don't have the answer, I'll talk to the town attorney. But we can't answer questions that people don't ask, and that's the real
And
issue.
sometimes people don't know the questions to ask.
Right, that's absolutely
And
right.
when you do have the code, because I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but when you do have an inspector come in and they throw a series of numbers at you, of this code XYZ, you're flabbergasted, because we're not talking numbers, we're individuals. We can communicate just like we did today, and it was solved in a matter of really 15 minutes of just sitting down and communicating with one another. And so that's what I just thought about, and maybe help people in the future, and probably myself still, so. But thank you for your time.
Do we have
The code.
protocol that a code enforcer goes through, like for her business when it was new, after a week and after it opened, they would stop by just to glance at it to make recommendations? You don't do that?
I had opened, the second week I was open, I was approached by the code inspector for the first code violation. And of course, it was something simple, so it was fixed. And then it's been almost like every month, it's been something new. But unfortunately, just like my sandwich board, it's been out for 2 months. So when he came, I was like, wait a minute, it's been out this long, So like I said, I mean, just a point of reference. And like I said, I was able to talk to someone, but others, especially, we have people, the people that bought my building, they're from up north. We have people across the street that bought a building, they're from Florida. They have no way of knowing what, and just treating everybody the same across the board.
And now you understand
what
the
rules
protocol
are.
that you have to use, right?
Well, some people,
As far as what I've dealt with personally, yes.
But
some people will come in, the two examples that Ann gave, the people from Florida and the people that just bought the old Bandon's Irish Inn, came into the office before they ever started down the path of purchasing and got a lot of information that way. And truthfully, I tell people if they're looking for property to make sure they check the zoning before they do anything, because there have been instances where people think because there was a particular use in a building 10 years ago that use is appropriate today, and it may not be under the zoning ordinance. So we encourage people to come in and ask questions, and they're not going to ask all the questions the first time. It's kind of like a new employee. The longer they're with you, the more questions they ask as they get more involved. But I think what is important about this is that there are a lot of lessons that were learned.
Yes.
That will help us to be better in the future. And I think that's the best we can hope for in a situation, like this. But I will certainly look at the idea of putting together some type of one-pager for new businesses.
that'd be nice, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.